Welcome to Is Your Way in Your Way podcast, where your host, Cassandra Crawley-Mayo, helps you break free from obstacles and live life on your terms. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and inspiration. Tune in as we dive into captivating conversations with experts and explore topics that will ignite your passion and drive. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Let's dive in.
Good day out there to all my listeners, and I'd like to welcome you to Is Your Way in Your Way podcast. And I'm your host, Cassandra Crawley-Mayo. And for those new listeners out there, let me kind of share with you what this podcast is all about. It's for those listeners who are stuck. They know that there's something else that they should be doing, but they can't seem to get out of their way in doing it. You know, perhaps you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a coach, you want to write a book. I mean, it's a number of things that's your dream, and you're not able to fulfill it at the moment. So I would talk about topics related to personal, business development, and also will enable you to do some self-reflection. And I'm always hopeful and prayerful that one of these podcasts will enable you to I got it. So it's now time for me to pivot and do what it was, do what I do what I want to do, live my best life on my terms. So today our topic is about you can live your dream life right now. And here's how. Who better to talk about that is my special guest, Shay Kent, who is an author. Hi, Shay.
Hello.
So good to have you here today on this Your Way in Your Way podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
I know, me too. I'm excited you're here. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to read Shay's bio just so you can get to know her a little bit before we delve into the questions. Shay Kent, she is a passionate author and speaker dedicated to empowering women to live their best lives. Sounds like we did this together. She has a background in entertainment and entrepreneurship. She's had to learn to exude confidence even when she didn't feel it. Because of that, she's worked on feature films, spoken on stages, started a few businesses. She flipped 6 houses in 2 years. She owns multiple homes. She moved across the country to the beach on a minute notice, became a mom at the age of 41, and penned a book in a month. Oh, I can't wait to hear about that. And her mission, just check her mission out. Her mission is to inspire 1 million women to stop settling and start living their dream lives. Edutainment and entertainment. She aims to start a movement. Even her mission, guys, is somewhat like mine. It's like my mission is to empower a generation of women to mitigate those roadblocks that's preventing them from living their best life on their terms. So we definitely have a lot of similarities. So I know she's going to just speak to your heart. Hey, Shay, let me ask you, was your first job waiting tables? Was that your first job?
Yeah, I believe it was. Well, technically my very first job was working for my dad as a secretary, and I only showed up when I wanted to, and I think it lasted 2 weeks or something. So my actual first job was definitely waiting tables.
Okay. So tell us about what your life was like before you started working a real job.
Growing up was really up and down. So I grew up kind of different from the majority of people out there. I grew up very wealthy, and then we went completely broke, and then had wealth, and then went completely broke, and then landed in the middle class. So a lot of people have the story of rags to riches. I was like riches to rags.
Okay.
So my dad had a construction company, and he did a lot of work in Denver, and just was able to build it up, but had no idea how to manage money. Didn't teach me anything about entrepreneurship, running a business, managing money at all, none of that stuff. I had to learn all of that the hard way, as I'm sure a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that came through, working hard, and I had to actually file bankruptcy at one point and, figure it out along the way. But growing up, it was kind of a roller coaster, if you will.
Okay. So it sounds like the apple didn't fall too far from the tree.
Yeah, in a way.
In the beginning anyway, right? So I get that. That's how I am. Now, You mentioned in your bio that you didn't have a lot of confidence. And
Mhm.
confidence didn't really come natural for you, but yet you worked a lot of the in on the television,
Mhm.
including The Walking Dead, um, and quite a few things. Well, let me go back. When you had the waitress job, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they offered you a management job, and you said, "I don't think this is for me." Is that right?
That is, yeah. So they called me up and offered me this job. Well, they didn't call me. I was at work. And I was like, "Oh, like let me think about it," because at the time, I would make anywhere from $30 a shift to maybe 80 at the most,
Wow.
typically. Yeah, it was like
Uh-huh.
real broke. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, a management job, like a salary and guaranteed money, and like I'd be
Right.
making way more than I ever thought possible." And at the
Mhm.
time, I had dropped out of college. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had
Mhm.
given up my dream of ever working in film and doing any of that because I thought, well, that's a pipe dream. Other people can do that. That's really not how I could actually make a living. I need to find what I'm going to actually make a living at.
Mhm.
And so I gave it some thought and I was like, you know what? If I do this, if I say yes, I'm going to be working in a restaurant with these
Mhm.
20 somethings that drive me absolutely crazy now
Uh-huh.
when I'm like old and gray and not have any enjoyment like along the way.
Mm.
And so I called them up the next day and I said, "Thank you, no thank you." I also quit my job. I said, "I'm not coming back." And
Wow.
then I got in the car and I drove to the film school and I enrolled. Now, granted, I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. No idea. I didn't know if that was going to lead me to any sort of a paying job or career that would
Wow.
be sustainable at all. But I knew that I did not want to be in restaurant business my entire life.
Uh-huh.
And I knew that I wanted to follow my dreams. And so I did.
Wow. So what was your dream initially, you said, but you didn't think you could do that?
To actually work in film and television and like make a
Okay.
living and doing it, right? Because it's like we
Right.
think of Hollywood, the big stars, and it's like so many people don't make it and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Now, I never wanted to be an actress, but
Yeah.
I did want to work, behind the scenes.
Right.
Yeah, so
That's
being
great.
able to go and enroll in film school and again figure out my how I was going to actually fund that. And I took 22 credit hours every semester. I was on the dean's list when I graduated, and then my very first job was The Walking Dead.
Wow. So, were you on an internship program? That I'm trying to picture this because that's your dream, and
Mhm.
my listeners have that dream. And like you said, hey, you can live your dream life right now. So, so because that was your dream, did you get an internship? How did you? Because you went to film school,
Mhm.
a natural for individuals in film school to start working in TV?
Yes and no. A lot of people who actually go to school
Yeah.
don't ever like most of the people I graduated with are not working in film and television ever. They never went anywhere besides just getting a BFA. Uh,
Oh,
for myself, I did do an internship on The Walking Dead. That's how I got my foot in the door
okay.
right after I graduated, and then I was hired on. So
Oh,
you can't get hired on somewhere if people don't know who you are.
right.
So you have to put yourself in those right spaces wherever you can put that foot in the door and
Mhm.
get in, like do it. So there was internship opportunities available to all of us. My graduating class was like 25 people. I was
Mhm.
the only one who applied because everybody else had this mindset of I graduated, I should get paid. And I had the mindset of I'm ready to go work. I need to get in wherever I can get in. And I
Good.
did. And
Excellent.
then I did start getting paid. Um,
Wow.
so it's switching up that mindset too. Like I don't think that we should all work for free for like
Yeah.
ever.
Mhm.
But if you're making a career change or you want to like start a business that you've never done before, who can you rub shoulders with to get in those rooms, or
Yeah.
who can you add value to in a way that maybe they don't know they need or they don't know how to do, that then in exchange you can start to learn and grow. um, I opened up after that, I opened up a home staging business
Mhm.
and I got that going pretty well. And I would take on new people who wanted to start their own but didn't know what to do or didn't know how to stage. And I would
Mhm.
have them come work with me and I paid them for their time, but they
Mhm.
were learning. under me as well, like as we were doing things. So if you can find somebody in whatever niche or space that you want to actually go
Right.
work in, or maybe you think you want to start a business in, but you don't have a lot of experience in that field, go shadow someone for a little while and see what you can
Excellent.
learn. And it might be something you don't even really want to do after you
Yeah.
kind of learn the nitty gritty. And then you save yourself a bunch of time.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, I love that. Yep, just get your foot in the door. Because I've spoken with guests that had to go back. They were up top, but they had to go down in order to move up. So you do what you have
Uh-huh.
to do, and that's what you did. Now, in the TV industry, what did you do? What was your job?
So when I first started, I was a PA, which is a production assistant. That's like the lowest of the low. That's where you get in. And
Uh-huh.
then from there you can grow. So I went all the way up to associate producer.
Oh, good for you. Now, you talked about, okay, you did that, but then you had a staging company.
Mhm.
Why did you leave that industry?
Because you end up working 12 to 14, 15, 16 hours a day,
Oh.
5 to 6 to 7 days a week.
Mm,
It's a lot. And my first year I was married, I only was with my husband for like 3 months out of the year,
yeah,
because I was working.
yeah.
And I traveled for work. So our home base was in Denver, but I worked in Atlanta. And I
Mm,
was like, this is not why I got married. Like, I don't
yeah,
want to put in all of this time over here.
right,
And then we don't have a relationship.
right.
And then we decided we were going to move to Atlanta. And the weekend that we were there looking for an apartment or something, he actually got promoted for his job. And we ended up in San Francisco 3 weeks later.
Oh, my.
And I got a job on Mythbusters for 9 months over there.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And then decided I wanted to flip houses instead of work, 70 hours a week
Right.
for
Mhm.
somebody else. And within flipping, the most fun part was staging it
Yeah.
for myself. And then I ended up with a bunch of inventory. And I was like, man, all my inventory is just sitting here not doing anything.
Mhm.
I'm going to start renting it out and staging
Smart.
for other people. So then I was able to turn that into an asset.
Wow. Smart move. Smart move. Now, you said that you didn't have a lot, the confidence didn't come natural. But when you walked into that TV industry and realized that, I'm gonna get my foot in the door, but I'm gonna have to make some moves in order for me to get to this position. What happened to that confidence then? I mean, what happened? You had to show some confidence.
Ready to design your dream life? Join Cassandra Crawley Mayo's Create and Design Your Best Life workshop. Break free from self-doubt and obstacles and step into a life of purpose and fulfillment. Click the link in the description to register now. Don't wait. Spaces are limited. Start living your best life today.
Yeah, and I was talking to another person recently, and I said, that old adage, "Fake it till you make it."
Yeah.
Fake the confidence until you make it. So it's
Okay.
really overwhelming. I was standing in the back lot. I think I was at Tyler Perry Studios at this point, and he's got like 12 sound stages. And so I'm standing in the back lot, just like taking it in, going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm even here. Like it was so overwhelming. And I felt like I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm doing, da, 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 which was not true, right? That was imposter syndrome,
Yes.
uh, right, coming up. And, I just have to put on that happy face and be like, no, I got this. I got this. And
Uh-huh.
kind of fake that confidence until you make
Right.
it.
Right.
And the thing with confidence is that it can be learned, right? And the more competent you get at something, the more confidence you will have at it.
That's true.
So I just really worked diligently to do the best job I could do
Uh-huh.
and, show up every day with a happy face because nobody wants to be around somebody who's a
Right.
downer.
Right.
Um, and
You
then I gained my confidence. And I was like, yeah, I'm really good at what I do.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I want to highlight is your values, your core values. You got a job and you were doing well, you were working all these hours, but then you got married, then you realize I want to spend more time with my husband, you know,
Mhm.
um, and you did. And then even the the restaurant business. She was like, that's not what I want to do. So
Mhm.
that was something that you didn't want to do. So I'm going to take the risk and
Yeah.
move on and see what happens. And it just so happened that you got into the film school, you had no money, but you had no, I'm sure you feared a little bit, but yet you did go to school, you got the TV job, and then you did your staging and you left the TV job because you couldn't spend that time. So one of your values was, I like to spend time with my family, with my husband. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
have to get
Yeah.
rid of this
Still
to
is.
do this. Yeah, exactly. Okay, great. Now when you did that, when you left the TV industry, did you go into your staging as you were flipping houses or?
Um, I think I flipped for 3 houses worth, so maybe almost a year,
Okay.
before I had the aha, I should be staging for other people too moment,
Uh-huh.
and then I
Uh-huh.
did both things concurrently for a little while,
Okay.
and then the buy-in, so you with flipping, you make your money on the buy side, you really
Mhm.
don't make it, like, afterwards.
Mhm.
So if
Right.
you can buy it really low, you can make a lot of money.
Mhm.
It was getting very difficult to find things low because at this point, Denver was booming and
Yeah,
everybody wanted top dollar for their house, even if it was not worth it,
exactly.
which is exactly what flippers look for is the not worth it houses.
Mhm.
And it was getting really difficult to buy in. And we just kept thinking, and my husband is an economics major, and he was like, the market's gonna go down. Like, we should not have properties when it does. That never actually happened.
Mm,
So we
okay.
we did get out of it. And then the market did not crash. However, at that point, I already had a large inventory and I had connections with realtors and I was doing all of the networking and all the social media and everything to get more staging clients
Mhm.
and kind of figuring out how to do that,
Okay.
which in turn, I had to learn all about marketing because my background was not in marketing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, or even entrepreneurship or owning a business or anything. So the big question was, how can I get clients? As I'm sure if you're, listening right now and entrepreneurship is one of the things and you're not hitting the go button because you're not sure how you're going to get clients,
Yeah.
I highly suggest, learning how to market and learning how to sell. And you can do that for free. There's all the gurus that are selling the $10,000 packages or whatever that you don't really need to do. Like you can just read some books, listen to podcasts, like this.
Right. Uh-huh.
And then here's the toughest part: go do it. Take
Go
the risk.
go do it, right?
Go do it.
Go
Yep.
do it. Yeah. You got all this knowledge. Yeah, and you got it for free,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
You know, e-
amazing.
even flipping houses. I went to a 3-day seminar. It was like $400. I had read a bunch of books. And I had listened to some podcasts and done my due diligence. Of course, always do your
Mhm.
due diligence.
Yeah.
But they were selling their $50,000 packages at the back of the room, and I was like, I'm not going to give you $50,000. I'm going to use that and do a flip, and that's
Exactly.
what I did.
Uh-huh.
But
Good.
you learn as you do it. You don't get experience by just learning, concept
Right.
conceptually. You have to get your feet wet.
Exactly. Got to take action. Right. You can think
Mhm.
about it all day, but it doesn't matter whether you think about it. You got to do something. Well,
Exactly.
how did the speaking gigs? You talked about you started speaking. How did okay? So you've done a lot of things: the
Yeah.
restaurant, the school, the TV business, the flipping houses, the staging houses. Now, how did speaking get into all of that?
I really love teaching.
Uh
I
huh.
think I love it. And so I decided I wanted to be a speaker at RISACon. So RISA is the Real Estate Staging Association. It's the largest association of stagers. And they have a huge conference they put on every year. And I was like, I'm gonna get on that stage. I'm gonna speak. And
Oh
it
my
took me a
God!
couple of years, but I
Yeah,
did it.
you did
And
it.
so
You did it.
that was my first speaking gig
Uh
was
huh.
at RISACon. And then I've done a couple webinars with them as well. And then now I do like workshops and stuff.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. But let me say, I read that you started speaking with your origin story. Is that right?
Yeah, like in marketing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, origin story started your speaking gig.
Hmm.
Okay.
Right. Because when you put together your origin story, and so if you don't know what that is, an origin story is sort of like the hero's journey. It's like how you came to do what it is you do. You have the character arc that before, you were struggling with, and then here you had the breakthrough, and then here's the happy ending for everybody, or like where you ended up. Um, so I started crafting that like for my marketing
Uh-huh.
and then putting that out everywhere as well. And it's also really good. I feel like it's a very good inspirational tool to show
Mhm.
people, um, if you're struggling, like, don't worry, that's just now, it's a season. You
Mhm.
can make it to what it is you want to do, which is basically my book is all about that as well.
Right, right. Now, I want you to, can you be a little more specific about the origin? Because there are individuals on the phone that, I'm sorry, that are listening that want to speak. And you started with your origin. So, in other words, you were kind of telling your backstory a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Okay.
tell my backstory, but like really, when you get on stages or when you get publicity.
Yeah.
So when I launched my book, I had to work on doing all of my own PR, and I was able to get on local stations and stuff. You have to position yourself as who is your audience, and kind of tweak things to match
Mhm.
that audience. So you're not,
Mhm.
say, you're in front of a bunch of, I don't know, restaurateurs, and you're
Yeah.
talking about real estate or something, that doesn't really land. So where are the commonalities in your origin story that when you are pitching places to go speak,
Mhm.
you can, tweak
Mhm.
and put more to the forefront, so
Right.
they know that, like, what you're talking about, you can easily relate to their audience and be something that they're going to like to hear from, somebody who they want to listen to.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. So when your first speech, well, let me go maybe to your third speech, and you was speaking with a realty organization, right?
Mm,
When you first,
the Real Estate Staging
yeah,
Association. Yeah.
yeah. Um, I know that was your first time. So what did you speak about on your first one in regards to your origin, and how did that relate to your audience? So my
So
listeners,
yeah, for them, my story was about how I had to learn how to do marketing to have
okay,
my home staging business. So
okay,
that might not be my core origin story, and
right,
it doesn't have to be your core either, but it's a story from follow the arc, the beginning, the middle, the end.
right,
Somewhere along the way, you have to have the aha and the shift.
right.
So that was the origin story that peppered my teaching. So like I said, I like teaching. So
Right.
whenever I present, I want them to have takeaways that they can run with and start to make their life better.
Okay,
And so
good.
then I taught them how to do specific things in their marketing for their home staging business
Okay.
for realtors.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want to know about this book.
Good.
um, Author of She Is You, Unleash
Mhm.
the Confident, Successful Woman. What is the story behind that book you wrote? Why'd you write that?
This book has been on my mind or in my heart for a number of years. And every
Mhm.
year it went on I want to write a book this year. And every year it didn't happen.
Mhm.
And then I had my baby at 41 years old, and she was 6 months old. And I was like, I'm going to write this book, and I'm going
Mhm.
to create like a guide map for her, for other women, like just
Okay.
get it out and into the world, because it was something that just wanted to come out of me. If you've
Yeah.
ever had that spark of
Yes. Yes.
right, and it's like you have to get it out. So I sat down, I set my intention. I'm going to write this book. I'm going to give myself a month. And I did it.
Wow. What,
Yeah.
how'd you get the title? Like what derived you from getting that title? Because is it something you experienced yourself?
She Is You. I wish I remembered how I got that title. It was just, it's
Mm-hmm.
really what I want to put out into the world, right? Like that confident, successful person, like she is you. She's already within you. You
Mm-hmm.
just need to maybe figure out how to unlock her
Okay.
so she can come out. And so with the title She Is You, like I really wanted them to know like this is you. Like you don't have to be searching and searching and searching. Just from within, let her come out.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, what triggered this bodacious mission of yours? A million?
I know, right? I mean, go big or go home. And then sometimes I think it's not enough.
Uh-huh.
Not,
Okay.
not
Uh-huh.
too many. Um, so I grew up in a family that we had domestic violence. So I grew up in a domestic violent house, and I didn't want anybody else to think that they had to stay in their circumstances just because
Mhm.
it was their circumstances. So my mom
Mhm.
stayed forever, a number of years, because she didn't feel she could make it on her own. Like she
Right.
didn't have the money. Um, and then as I grew up and I was like, no, women can do it on their own, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And then my sister was actually murdered by her spouse
Oh,
in 2012.
oh,
And,
oh.
you know, advocacy for women to be able to say, yeah, like I can do my life and I don't need to have somebody else. If I want to have somebody else in my life,
Mhm.
that's one thing. Like I don't need to stay.
Mm,
Um,
good.
so spreading the word of like, you got this, you can figure out whatever it is that you want to do in your life. Like you can do it. You
Right.
can do it.
Right.
Regardless of your circumstances. And so that's why that's always been a burning desire, like in my heart, is to share and just inspire people to be like, you know what? I do have this. I can do this. I can make this work.
Right. So, what have you executed to start the ball rolling? To stop selling and start building. You have workshops. You have y-
Hmm.
um, you have you actually have a lot of stuff. You have the videos. You have an awesome website.
Oh,
A
thank
lot in
you.
there. Yeah, you have a great website, and then you talk about start living your dream life now.
Now,
Now,
right.
tell us about
So
that.
I really dislike the idea of I'll do it when
Mhm,
XYZ happens. Right.
mhm,
And I know you talked about this on one of the last episodes I listened to.
mhm,
Um, and it's like excuses, excuses, excuses. And then
mhm,
we push it and we push it and we push it. And pretty soon, like all this time has gone by and maybe you completely forget about it or you think you can't do it or whatever it is.
mhm.
Um, and I'm like, yeah, let's go do the thing now.
Right.
Whatever that step is. So I would love to give the example, like if you want to take a Tahiti vacation and go swim with sharks,
Yes.
but you don't have the money to go do that,
Right.
what can you do right now to live that dream? Because it's really not the act of doing, it's more about like that sense of fulfillment and the emotional state and the experience that you get to have when you're doing these things. So okay, instead of going all the way to Tahiti to spend my time at the beach, whatever, like do you live where you can go to the beach and
Mhm.
you know
And do
hang out
that.
there?
Right.
If you're landlocked, maybe it's something and thinking outside the box. Maybe I fill up my bathtub and like put Jaws on the projector screen or something and sit and watch the movie.
Mhm.
So it's really being able to go, okay, this is my big giant dream that maybe right now I'm not able to do. How can I live my dream life now in this moment, and finding those workarounds.
Uh-huh.
Another one, so I know like luxury lifestyle and maybe going and staying at like one of the most expensive hotels like in town. Maybe you're not able to do that right now. However, you can go there and maybe grab a drink or grab lunch or just sit in the
Yeah.
lobby with a
Mhm.
cup of coffee and
Mhm.
get the experience so you can start putting yourself in those situations where you are actually somewhat living your dream life
Yeah.
before you're really living your dream life.
Right. Exactly. Now, how do you Do you have challenges in getting people to share what their dream life looks like? Do people, your clients, do they know already what their
I
dream
have
life is?
I have found that they specifically, not really. They have some sort of an idea of what it could maybe look like, but specifically, it's no clue. And
Mhm.
so being able to, well, for one, knowing what you don't want is just as important as knowing what you do.
Yes,
And
good.
sometimes even more important, especially if we're like confused on what it is. Then you can start asking the questions like, okay, so, I want to have millions of dollars. Okay, great. You can have millions of dollars if you go work 80 hours a week and have absolutely no time with your family and you work in New York and you're doing finance. Is that what you want? Oh,
Right.
well, no. Okay, well, like, so now we can start to cut it down and have parameters, and
Good.
then you can figure out how to move forward with that.
Right. That's good. That kind of talks about the values like yourself. Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
doing well, but I just got married and I'm not going to even see this guy, So
right, exactly.
I can't do this. I'm gonna have to find something else to do. Wow.
Mhm,
Let's once so you made a decision. You stopped doing the staging, right? Um,
mhm.
and then you started doing your business, correct?
Yes, I closed my staging company when I moved to Florida, which
Oh,
was an intentional move
okay.
because my dream life was living by the ocean,
Okay.
and where I really wanted to move was Southern California. It's really expensive there.
Mhm.
And so we were like, if we move there, we will be like, we won't have any extra spending money. We won't be able to do the things we like traveling and going out to eat and like
Mhm.
doing all those things.
Right.
So intentionally, where else can we move to be by the ocean?
Right.
Florida.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how we ended up here.
Okay.
Um, but I think it's building your life with intention as
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
because nothing that you want. Say you do want to write a book, have $1 million, like whatever that is. The actions that you take must be intentional to get you one step closer. I
Right.
think a lot of times people will get in their head that like it has to be these really big, giant strides that get them really, really far.
Yeah.
But they discount the little baby
Right.
steps in between that get you really, really far. You don't even notice it.
Exactly. Exactly. We think big, we want it now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just doesn't work like that, unless you're doing
Unfortunately
something
not.
illegal,
Yeah.
moral, something.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So let me ask you, when you moved to Florida, and I think it was you who was swimming with the sharks or something?
That is me. Yep. I did that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's so funny. Wow. Now let's talk about once you made that decision to move to Florida, um, your success started happening, and that was your business.
I mean, I feel like
Well, you were
people,
successful before, but I'm talking about what you wanted then.
yeah, well, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think success is being able to say, this is what I want to do, and
Mhm.
then achieving that goal, which within the book, my book, She Is
Uh-huh.
You, readers have the opportunity to figure out what success looks like for them. I was
Mhm.
talking to another podcaster. He was in another country, and
Mhm.
he told me that he wasn't successful. And I was like, "What are you talking about? You have a podcast
Yeah.
internationally? Like you're
Right.
like reaching people? Like that is a success."
Yeah.
So I think that really has to happen. But yes, it took a couple reiterations. So
Mhm.
it's never just like a straight trajectory, right? I
Right.
definitely went down and up and down and up. When I moved here, the first thing I started was an online coaching business with my husband. And the coaching part was phenomenal. Our clients were getting great results with the
Okay.
program. The
Right.
thing that we didn't know was how do we get clients online, because we wanted to build an online only
Right.
thing. And it's a lot harder than the gurus make it sound. I can tell
Yeah.
you, at least my experience has been
Yeah. You're
that.
right.
And so my husband was like so over it. He was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, I'm with you. I'm like pretty burned out because I was on the computer on Facebook all day long.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. And then I got pregnant and I had a really, really difficult pregnancy. And so I was essentially on bed rest for like the whole thing. And then she came almost 2 months early, and she was in that NICU for over a month, and it was like a lot.
Yeah.
And then I wrote the book, still not really knowing what I wanted to do for people, like how I wanted to help people. And that's when, and here's another big tip. You gotta get with community because starting a business or being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, if you're doing it by yourself, like it's just going to be a big struggle.
Yes.
So finding a community that you can meet up, like either virtually or you can meet in person and have other people who are going through some of the same things or who are more advanced is a really big thing. And so I found a community, and it has been so helpful and really gaining insight on what I want to help and offer the world. You know, the book launch was a huge success. It was amazing. And now I'm able to offer what my real gifts and talents truly are, now that I'm finally getting over my imposter syndrome.
Right.
Even now, you know, I still go through it occasionally.
That's right.
And owning the fact that like I know film and video inside and out. I know marketing from all the past stuff I've done. So now I'm putting together, and I have an offer that I can actually do that for people, is help them with their videos and put their messaging and everything together and get it out there into the world so they can have, you know, eyeballs everywhere, good visibility. That's very important. If people don't know who you are, they cannot buy from you.
Exactly. And so you do the videos. Are you still coaching?
No, I do not coach.
Okay,
no.
You don't coach.
I'm more of a consultant now.
Oh, you're a consultant. And you're consulting, and you're showing individuals how they can live their dream life right now.
So I do that through helping them put together their businesses so we can create a good foundation. And then also through that marketing and video piece as well.
Okay, that's
how you can build your dream life too. And then I have an online course, actually, if you are more of a, you know, you don't want to do a business,
right?
You want to work on your personal self. I have an online course that is watch the lessons as you see fit, as you go, and step through it that way.
Okay. Is that
I took myself out of it.
Okay, so is that an 8-week course? Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's 8 weeks. You get one module a week to work through. And then you have replays and stuff, like however long you want. Once you buy it, you always have access to it.
Sure. Tell me about those pillars. You have like 3 pillars. Awareness, breakthrough.
Yes.
Okay.
Awareness, breakthrough, and inspired action. I call it the Abby method.
Okay. Abby.
Yep. She's like your bestie. You get really, really good with her. Good. So my book also walks you through how to do this as well. So the first bit is awareness. I always say we cannot go where we want to go if we don't know where you are. Like that's how GPS works. Very simple. So you have the opportunity to look at yourself, where you are now, how you got there. What are some of those limiting beliefs? I call them Nurse Ratchets, actually. Because Nurse Ratchet is like the worst villain ever, because she was, you know, seemingly there for her patients, but in reality, she was just really evil. So that's what I like to call
that. The what?
A Nurse Ratchet from the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay.
And now they came out with a series on Netflix. It's just called Ratchet. So she's really evil, and that's what limiting beliefs are. They are set up to make you seem like you're keeping yourself safe, but in reality, they're keeping you stuck and holding you back.
Okay.
So you get the opportunity to look at those in the awareness, and then your breakthrough bit, which is my favorite. You can decide, now that you know, you can choose to continue the way that you're doing things or to change.
Okay.
Either way is fine. It's up to you. It's your life. You know, there's no right or wrong.
Right.
And then inspired action is getting into action, doing the doing part. And that's taking those inspired actions from within, which pulls you forward rather than like massive action that is like overwhelming and you lead to burnout and you feel like I should be doing all these things.
Exactly.
Rather than having the shoulds all over yourself.
Right.
What is it within you that's calling you and telling you what you could be doing?
Right. I'm calling those shoulds judging. You're kind of judging yourself. I should do this. I should do that. Yeah.
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 I like to say could because it gives you a choice.
Exactly. That's good. Now, let me talk about as we wrap up what I call the call to action to my listeners that have this dream and they're stuck. Any words of wisdom that you could give them to help them to get moving and take action, inspired action? Inspired action is not the same as action.
Yeah, because anybody can take any action. Right?
Yeah.
But what's inspiring for you? And I think the biggest thing is to take any inspired action, right? Like if you are sitting here and you're like, something resonated with me and I really feel called to write the blog that I've been wanting to write, like sit down and do it. Do it now while the inspiration is there. And then hit send because you can always tweak it later.
Right.
Done is better than perfect 100% of the time.
That's good.
Yeah, you got to get off the fence. If you're sitting on the fence and you're not going left, you're not going right, like what's happening? You're just sitting there, nothing's happening. So you have to take that inspired action in any way, and that's how you're going to make any of your dreams come true, whether it's business or whether it's personal life. Like you have to just go.
Right, and I love that. Like take little steps. Don't think you're going to get there right tomorrow and get flustered and forget the whole thing. Just do something now.
Right. And I think a lot of that comes with we give ourselves these timelines. And if we're not hitting whatever goal we want by a certain timeline, then we feel like a failure. And it's not really true. Like, what is time? Like that you just like came up with this deadline for yourself.
Exactly.
Move it out. Keep going. If you stop now, you will never get the goal. But so just keep going.
Exactly. And those are like I call self-imposed barriers. I'm a procrastinator. I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, this isn't going to work. I can't do that. I don't have the money, rather than sitting down and do it. Do something small. And as you indicated, community, you can't do anything by yourself. You reach out there and get that support, get, somebody that can do what you can't do. Or vice versa. So I like that a lot, the community. Well, Shay, tell my listeners, how can they get in touch with you?
They go to beasuccessfulwoman.com and hit me up there. I have all my links to everywhere you can find me on social as well. Just run that webpage.
I encourage listeners to do that. She has a great website. She's taken a lot of action on that website. And I had mentioned to her that she had one time, but she did this before she had a baby. I think she did like 300 videos in 30 days. And just like she did her book in 30 days. I'm like, how did you do a book in 30 days?
I committed. First of all, I made the decision that it was happening. So when we actually decide to do something, it happens, right? And then two, I committed myself to working on it every single day for 18 minutes. That was it. If I could sit down for 18 minutes and do it, that was my 18 minutes every day. Now, some days I only did 18 minutes and some days I sat there for 2 or 3 hours. But the commitment was 18 minutes. Carve that out and just let it go. So I was consistency, right? That's a little step, right? A lot of people think if I'm going to write a book, I have to sit down for hours upon hours. Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
No, 18 minutes.
Okay. Great advice. I love that. I think, I'm getting ready to do another book and I think I better do that. It's like 18 minutes, and
give it a shot.
18 minutes. I may not do anything, but hopefully the next 18 minutes, I'll do an hour to make up for the 18 that I did not do. Well, Shay, yeah, thank you so much for your wisdom, your little nuggets. How even though you said you didn't have the money, like, okay, I can learn, I can read, I can look. YouTube has everything on it,
YouTube has everything on it.
It sure does. So there's no excuse. The only excuse and The only problem perhaps is you, right?
I believe that to be true for sure.
Exactly. She is you. Wow.
She is you. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks again, my listeners. If you found this podcast to be of value, which I know many of you have, please share it. And also, just know it's going to be on all podcast platforms. So thanks again, Shay Kent, the author of Is She Is You, Unleash the Confident, Successful Woman Within. Thanks a lot, Shay. To my listeners, bye for now. God bless you, and I love you. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've been enjoying our empowering conversations, make sure you don't miss out on future episodes of Is Your Way in Your Way podcast. Stay in the loop with all the latest episodes. Join our mailing list over at CassandraCrawley.com. And before you go, hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe now. Until next time, let's get ready to live your best life.